Okay, it's the morning wood. I got something special for you today. Today, let's talk about reschedule of cannabis. I've got an attorney, John Udell, to break it down. Roll one. Let's get it.
My lady's sweet as sugar, love me softly, love me sweet, and her sugar is my weakness. She's the sweetest honeybee, and my baby I've been missing all your watermelon kisses. Tell me, is this really love or just a dream? Cause I don't wanna wake up, let's just see where this dream takes us. Wonder what my dreams are made of, get high. Cause baby, when we make love, you're the sweetest thing I've tasted. And now, baby, we could stay up all night. I ain't never felt a love like this. It's on, lay it down, baby girl, you're my favorite song. A song wild child with a smile so playful, spun by the hands of time to move angels. Sung by the gods was a song for the freebirds. Love was a talk on the tongues of the preachers. Imagine if Lennon survived and could be here. If love is enough, what if God was a dreamer? Would you believe if I told you that love is the answer we need? Cause everyone's looking for something, and something's right under your feet. Just move with the seasons to show you the reason we want to end dream. And under it all, though at times we will fall, I know love's all we need. Never felt a love like this, it's on. Lay it down, baby girl, you're my favorite song. Said I ain't never felt a love like this, it's on. Lay it down, baby girl, you're my favorite song. My latest, sweet as sugar, love me softly, love me sweet, and her sugar is my weakness. She's the sweetest honeybee, and my baby I've been missing all your watermelon kisses. Tell me, is this really love or just a dream? Cause I don't wanna wake up, let's just see where this dream takes us. Wonder what my dreams are made of, get high. Cause baby, when we make love, you're the sweetest thing I've tasted. And now baby, we could stay up all night. And I ain't never felt a love like this, it's on. Lay it down, baby girl, you're my favorite song. And I ain't never felt a love like this, it's on. Lay it down, baby girl, you're my favorite song. And I ain't never felt a love like this, it's on. Lay it down, baby girl, you're my favorite song. Said I ain't never felt a love like this, it's on. Lay it down, baby girl, you're my favorite song.
Right there, Kaleidoscope
Peace.
Kid.
One love.
Arizona independent,
Watermelon
throwing
kisses, my
down
friend.
all his own tracks, instrumentals, everything that you heard there, he created. Marijuana to you, though. How we doing? It is a Thursday out here in the world of marijuana, and we are going to talk about it, right? What is going down out there? What are you smoking? Love to hear about it. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Shout out to you popping in here. Bunch of Bull Studio, Mario, DGR, high as fuck. Cali Bud's in the building. X, we had some technical, you know, we tried. I tried to roll over, I do a podcast prior to this one called High in Arizona, and I robbed the High in Arizona guest today to bring on to PSN because, I mean, look, this is when it's national, right? This is something that is going to affect globally, right? As this rolls out, in my opinion, but we're going to have somebody on here, John Udell, who is a attorney out here in Arizona, works with Arizona Normal, has done work to represent cannabis legislation. As soon as this year has introduced even a producer's bill, trying to make it where to the cost of producing in Arizona recreation isn't so expensive. Introduced that bill this year, and it's been going good so far. So we'll see if that's something that he wants to discuss today. But primarily, we wanted to get on here. I wanted to find out what is the situation with recreational. Now, people are asking me already, Toad Light, is that what we're smoking? I thought that was maybe reference to toad venom in the discussion that we had yesterday. Are we going to have the everyone growing toad venom? I reached out to Boston Clone Company. Again, shout out to them. I said, is there anything on this list that like, no, look, that ain't it. I'm not going to allow you to send out that many clones of that. That's ridiculous. Like toad venom. Or there was the blue Zushi on there. He didn't give a fuck. I said, okay. I love it. So that means I believe we should all get together and we should grow some toad venom. Eggs in the chat. Or put toad or other. Let me get a vote out there. Vote what you think we should do right here for the first grow off. Us on the Morning Wood, just out here growing some weed. Toad venom, or should we do something different? Talk to me. And while you're deciding that, let's go ahead and light this up. Half a blunt, I know, but I want to light it.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot.
It sure would.
Wouldn't you like to get away? All those nights when you've got no lights, the check is in the mail, and your little angel hung the cat up
wow,
by its
people saying Zushi, huh?
tail, and your third fiance didn't show.
What?
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows
Hey,
your name.
Blicky! Shout out to Cloud Map, DGR, Barn Dog, Joe, Rice Rolls, JJ Johnson. Oh, it's just John. Gotcha.
You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
Thank you for pulling in here today. Appreciate it right there. Let's kick it. Right? Let's have a good day. I knew I was going to be in mid-conversation. I'm going to roll another one up, but I didn't want to be in mid-conversation and be like, pause for a second because I got to play this song. No! We got to talk, man. We got to have this conversation. Blicky says, no candy has to do it himself what he thinks thrives in all conditions and medians. The toad wave will eventually chill. May as well ride it while it's here. I wonder. I was putting up some clips with Doja, and Doja was out there, if you remember, talking about how he feels that the venom is probably going to be here. I want to say, he said like something like 10 years, man, like 5-10 years or some shit like that. He said like one of those ones, you know what I mean? Like it's going to be, like he said it's going to get to so much that you know, so regular that people, like similar to the runts, that people are asking for like non-runts, right? People are going to be out there. Toad's going to be mixed so much. People are asking for the non-mix. Maybe like you could say similar to Z. Doja no longer valid after support. DGR, if it's like dank mobs, I'll take it. Zane, the toad has a good run. Tech, what's cracking? The first clone ever. Wow, guys, damn. That's wild. You know what? I'll say that's wild, guys, because, you know, from what I know, you guys only know Blicky based off of what we see here, right? You know, he might be different in person. All right. Anyways, though, here, let's get into this, though. I want to really dive into this reschedule. Let's go ahead. We got John now chiming in here. Let me make sure he can hear us. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, we can hear him. All right, everybody. Introducing John Udell. What's up, man? Thank you for coming in today. I really do appreciate it. I know that you had reached out, you know, in order to jump on High in Arizona, but I was like, look, man, this is like I think in my opinion, like a national, you know, and affects international. This is a large audience we have over here on PSN. And I really appreciate you willing to jump on here and to having this discussion.
Yeah, Jason, I appreciate you having me, man. This is a really exciting time to be a cannabis attorney. Big surprise as I've been drilling into this rescheduling order over the last week and have, I think, some exciting and surprisingly positive news to share.
Ooh, let's get right into it, my man. What would be the first thing that you want to jump into?
Yeah, I think the first thing to talk about is probably what we were expecting with rescheduling and how this final rule through the Attorney General order is different than what we were expecting. And so I'm sure we all had a lot of expectations heading into this. We've been hearing about rescheduling now for years, right? Going back to the Biden administration when he started off this notice and comment rulemaking process with the intent of rescheduling, the Trump administration coming in, talking a big game about rescheduling themselves, starting off this process, announcing it was going to happen. There's been this little drip drab of news just over the last few weeks involving, there was a psychedelic executive order that came out. There was some comments during that I heard of Trump speaking with Joe Rogan saying they're slow walking me, Joe. They're slow walking me on rescheduling, and we're going to change that, right? And so we all had our eyes on this. We had a good sense that something was coming. Now, here's what we expected. I think, broad expectation. We thought there'd be big relief for businesses that were operating in the state licensed ecosystem, namely moving medical marijuana to Schedule 3. That takes it out of the scope of Section 280E. So big tax relief, potentially looking at 50, 70% effective tax rate down to 30% roughly.
Huge.
Now that is huge. I think a big win for market fairness, a big win for common sense too, right? Like just think about it. And I think it's one of these things. We've had medical marijuana here in Arizona for so long, but to finally have this recognition from the federal government, obviously, I spent a lot of time last year working on the hemp litigation out here and doing a big deep dive into the history of cannabis consumption, cultivation, et cetera. And as I think Jason, right, and the viewers do too, there's a multi-thousand-year history of humans consuming cannabis, going back to beyond 2000 BCE, when there was Chinese writings about medical benefits of cannabis. That's right, back in ancient India, there was the same. It was one of 5 plants to relieve us from anxiety or something along those lines. And so it's a big win for common sense to finally, after we have a majority of states in the country with a medical marijuana program, to finally acknowledge, yes, there is actually medical value in this. And yes, it is less of a subject of abuse than heroin, right? Like lots of just common sense things we're still going to be a win. But our fear with this is that the industry gets what they want, largely, potentially sapping away some of that momentum to try to fight for further reforms that benefit patients and consumers. So the expectation, right, is we're going to reschedule to Schedule 3, but what difference is that going to make in the life of an everyday patient when marijuana is not FDA approved, when traditional practitioners are reluctant to recommend or prescribe it because of the lack of approval, the risk they perceive to their DEA registration if they dispense something that isn't for an accepted medical use. So that's a big deal.
Yes.
The way it works under the Controlled Substances Act, right, is not just there's a law saying marijuana possession is illegal. There's a law saying that it's illegal for somebody to possess a controlled substance without authorization generally. So if you're not buying from someone who can lawfully sell to you, then you are not possessing under the Controlled Substances Act with authorization, obtaining your controlled substance from a DEA registered practitioner. That means you're still violating federal law.
Okay.
As a result, we all sign, for example, landlord-tenant law. There are consequences there. There are consequences for Second Amendment rights, the unauthorized use of a controlled substance. Circling back to landlord-tenant, we all sign these crime-free provisions that include not just Arizona law, but not breaking any law, including federal law.
Federal.
And so, you're a patient. There are some protections that are in the Medical Marijuana Act. There are exceptions for it's in conflict with federal law. I know from speaking with a lot of patients and consumers, there is still a broad perception at a minimum that you can't safely consume in your house. And now, again, too, there's changes there. We're not all just flagrantly violating our leases every time a patient lights up and consumes their medicine. So that again, was the expectation. There wasn't going to be this pathway to lawfully buy. And if you can't lawfully buy under federal law, you can't lawfully possess under federal law. So here's the big surprise that I don't think anyone, maybe there's a few lawyers or lobbyists somewhere that saw this coming, but I don't know. I don't know anyone who saw this coming. And so what happened, right? There was this fear going into this too about big pharma, and we were going to send marijuana into the system where it goes, big pharma creates a drug, doctor prescribes a drug, pharmacy dispenses a drug, laying groundwork for at least this perceived potential for a takeover. So what happened here was, I'm pretty floored by this still. And I know lawyers all over the country have been spending a lot of time figuring out what does this mean. But what happened was the Attorney General effectively created a separate pathway to get a controlled substance lawfully sold to a consumer. And so instead of giving FDA approval, so we go through this doctor to, or pharmaceutical to doctor to pharmacy sort of pipeline, there's a sort of parallel path that's been carved out for the state licensed medical system. Yes. And so what the rule provides for is for medical marijuana dispensaries, again, medical, we're not talking about adult use here. There will be a later hearing, a notice and comment procedure for adult use, the way it typically works. But what happened, again, medical dispensaries and in other states, medical marijuana cultivators, medical marijuana distributors, wherever they have them, all these state licensed medical marijuana businesses can now register with the DEA to be a DEA authorized either manufacturer, and again, a DEA world that includes cultivation, a DEA registered distributor, or a DEA registered practitioner authorized to dispense medical marijuana to qualified patients. And so that means, right, as a patient then, when you buy medical marijuana from a DEA registered practitioner in alignment with federal law, because again, there's these regulations that authorize the dispensing, you can now lawfully possess, without violating the possession rules of the Controlled Substances Act, medical marijuana. So there's a lot of questions here, right? And that should be really clear too, that this about a number of things. One, this doesn't necessarily like open the floodgates altogether for you to take your medical marijuana wherever you want. There are some questions there. Again, this only applies if you buy from a DEA registered practitioner. And so now there's this pathway, but how many people are going to do it versus be afraid of register with the DEA?
I mean, I heard that they have 60 days to do it, right? They have 60 days and then it's an automatic approval.
That's my understanding. So there's this initial 60-day period where the processing of applications will be expedited. My understanding is similar to what you said there. It's a pretty automatic process. Now you'll have to go through a little bit of an application sort of procedure, but in general, if you're complying with your state's laws, it appears that you are entitled to get your DEA registration as long as you agree to other conditions the DEA has. Now, for some people, some businesses, that's more substantial than others, I would say. For example, if I recall correctly, for the DEA manufacturers, let's say you're a cultivator who registers with the DEA as a manufacturer. Now, we have all, as a country, we have all of these treaty obligations that largely resulted from us leading this push around the whole world to crack down on any kind of controlled substance, including marijuana. We have these various weird conditions that are in this. And so one, if you're a cultivator, is that after you harvest your plants, you need to put your plants in a facility where the United States Drug Enforcement Administration has access to it. Then you need to sell your product to the DEA, buy the product back from the DEA at the same price that you sold it for, and pay them a fee. And again, a lot of this is really wacky. There are some ties to treaties, and so it's not just being totally pulled out of nowhere. But yeah, it's strange, and you can just imagine like sort of old school cultivators from the legacy market that are like, you want me to put my plants in a facility where the DEA can get in and where they can prove they're my plants. So I think there's some question as to how broadly medical marijuana dispensaries actually register. And I think for many of them, this will be like potentially a sort of, it'll depend on the facts. Everyone should speak with lawyers about this. But That's I think an open question is how many of them do that.
That is a good. What I wonder too is, was there anything else besides that shocked you about the requirements in order for them to have that DEA license? Because I that's all I read on it, that they had 60 days. It was going to be an automatic approval, but I didn't consider what they may ask you to do in return once you have it. And with that is just a shocker right there, where they're like, look, you need to have it open, and I need to be able to get in there. You're going to sell it to the DEA. And then you're going to sell it back. We're going to buy it back. That seems like they're just drowning out the process even longer. And let me ask you this. If I have a license and now it's with the DEA, does that bypass the local, requirements that I have?
That's a great question about the local requirements, especially. And so this is another one of these really interesting features of how this was done here. So what people can do under their DEA registration is not broader than what they're able to do under state law. They're still subject specifically through federal law now. There's a federal law requirement to follow their state law regulations. So I think the biggest one that caught my eye was the putting it in the shared facility, the sale, and then the buyback with the fee. Because it seems just so wacky.
Yeah, that is,
and now this
is really wild.
The origin for this, I think, again, is these international treaties where there's reference to monopolization by the government of the trade in controlled substances. And so I think this is tied to that. And they can say, well, we're monopolizing it because we buy all this stuff, we take control of it, and then we give it back and let it go into the supply chain. Now, here's another big one, though, when it comes to the DEA and state level laws. And this is something, again, myself and a lot of lawyers are spending a lot of time trying to figure out right now is think about a dual licensee. So this is relatively straightforward for a medical only person. I think there's still questions like in Arizona, let's say, look at one of these medical only dispensaries. Now, this goes to, again, like I think the siloed sort of supply chain probably for the DEA registered cultivators. So think about this. You're a dual licensee. You've been authorized by the DEA to dispense a Schedule III substance, medical marijuana. But another part of your business is also dispensing adult use marijuana. So again, for right now, adult use marijuana is Schedule I.
Right.
And so there's a way of looking at this under the Controlled Substances Act as like a dual licensee with a DEA registration for medical is like a pharmacy that's also selling heroin on the side. Ooh. Because heroin and adult use marijuana are both Schedule I.
Right.
And so I think, again, I have a hard time seeing DEA regulations and federal law allowing pharmacies to sell heroin. If that's the case, it'll be interesting to see how they account for dual licensees that are selling Schedule III medical and Schedule I adult use.
I was curious about that too, because as you mentioned before, 280E opens up, and now they're able to write off your payroll and their rent, and so if you're a dual license and you're selling both, are we going to see now all of a sudden everybody's working on that medical marijuana side, even though the sales aren't really where it's at, right? They're just it's just at the register they make the difference. So I think that's kind of interesting how they'll find themselves navigating that.
Yeah, totally. A similar kind of question. Again, if you're operating a marijuana business and you're watching this, you should be speaking with your team, accountants, attorneys, to work through all of these thorny issues. And again, there's a variety of different thoughts depending on what your business exactly looks like in terms of trying to account for different employees that do medical tasks versus adult use tasks, products that qualify as adult use versus medical. A lot of questions you'll want to work through with folks who have the legal expertise and accountants with that expertise in the tax code, because that's potentially $1 million question there. And it gets thornier, one quick point too, because it looks like there was a suggestion to the Treasury Department in this to allow for retroactive tax relief as well too. So just like you're seeing rebates on tariffs right now, or at least arguments why they should be given, we might be seeing a similar thing with marijuana taxes too.
That's interesting. Do you think the IRS will, be really strict through this new change? Will they be like, heavy on all of these cannabis companies to kind of set a tone? Or, will they just, I'd imagine they would. You know?
It's another $1 million question, and just there's so much that we don't know right now.
Yeah.
Because for so many years the federal government has just been so anti-marijuana, and now here they are doing something that's, in some ways, I would say, extraordinarily pro-marijuana.
Right.
And again, too, with the DEA, to circle back to that, the comments we made earlier about, again, like how many businesses will get the DEA registration versus roll the dice with the federal government not enforcing the law. Should also note, too, that there is, this is, again, we're talking about medical marijuana here. There's been this ongoing appropriation, the Rohrabacher, I forget the other person's name, amendment to prohibit federal dollars from being used to enforce against state compliant medical marijuana activities. So it would seem for right now that medical dispensaries probably won't be immediately prosecuted, at least, but will that amendment stay, or will there be an ongoing effort now now that there is a pathway to federal compliance, to force people into that pathway?
Right.
So whether it's the
Interesting.
IRS, whether it's Congress, whether it's the DEA, there's a lot that's up in the air still right now.
Okay, yeah, because one of the things, like, in a sense, I was, when I was looking into this, that was one of the questions that I had, was, in a way that it's written, it seems like they could force, just take over. Like, it, with the way that they had it, there was a question, there it is. Yeah, could the FDA eventually override or replace state cannabis programs? The way that this is written, and it's federally illegal, unless Trump goes through with, making recreational some sort of change, then yeah, like you just said, it's now looked at as heroin. There is a federally legal lane. So do you foresee anything in that regard?
Again, it's really hard to say. It's kind of reading the tea leaves. I might read them one way. Someone else might read it another way. I do feel better when it comes to the FDA now, because again, we've kind of surprisingly broke ourselves out of the usual pipeline with the DEA, which is sorry, I'm watching some dogs over here that are getting excited. But we've been broken out of this usual pipeline. I think that suggests there might be a non-FDA path that at least this administration is interested in pursuing. There's also the other, I think, $1 million question right now, which is that we have adult use rescheduling potentially on the horizon. What form will that take? Because usually the structure of the Controlled Substances Act is that to get those controlled substances out to an everyday person who's not a drug business or in the medical profession is through the medical use channel, is that there's a medical use for it. It gets dispensed because there's medical use despite the potential for abuse. And then it gets out to us. So with adult use, then how does that work in that kind of a context? And is there a potential world where we have a similar model for adult use than we see for medical marijuana right now, where again there's no FDA issues, whether it's with health supplements under the DSHEA Act, or if it's drugs under the federal the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act? Or will it be just you get licensed by a dispensary, you buy from a dispensary, and now you can lawfully possess even though you don't have a card? So
that's another thing, right? Yeah, so many layers to this.
Questions.
Yeah,
there really are. Yeah.
Well, at this point though, who do you feel like? What type of operator, in a sense, is most exposed after this? Like, who do you think is at the most legal risk right now? You know what I mean? And is this attack on, the legacy market, the black market, like who's been operating like, damn, it seems like trappers with merch, do you think that we're going to see a stronger regulation or enforcement, now that they have, made this leap?
I think it's a good question. Again, when it comes to federal law, there is still, for medical marijuana at least, there is this rider that's been put on all of the appropriations bills to stop federal dollars from being used to enforce against state compliant businesses. So again, the part of that question was about the legacy operators. Again, they're not compliant with the state laws, so they could be prosecuted in theory. And I don't know. It's one of these things. As a lawyer, it's like I like to look at the law, where like I have the information in front of me and I can tell you what the law means.
Yeah.
But for a lot of these questions, it's kind of trying to read minds more than it is to interpret laws that are on the books.
Okay.
Because it's not just a matter of like what does the law allow. It's also a question of what are people going to do. And obviously, too, we've been right with medical marijuana legalization here in Arizona for a long time. There's been this long threat of this storm cloud hanging over your head, and federal enforcement might start tomorrow, and that hasn't happened, even though it could have before. We'll see if things change now. Again, I think I see where your head might be at, which is like, now that there's the pathway to compliance, are they going to crack down harder on people who don't comply? And I could see that happening. I could also see the hands-off, generally hands-off approach we've seen over recent years continuing. So we'll have to kind of, I think, wait and see.
Yeah, because we look at what happened with THCA, right, with the 2018 Farm Bill, and that was going on for damn near 7-8 years, still going on today, and they're trying to lock that down in November. But, I know you're heavily involved with that as well. Is that still something that is, rock solid? Or I've heard that it might be extended, that there might be a little bit more time, and that the November deadline actually might not be a deadline.
Yeah, I've been following along with that to a degree. Of course, I'm not in Washington, D.C. I'm out here in the trenches in Arizona working on those issues. So I can't speak to a ton, at least to backroom conversations. But what you said there is largely what I'm hearing too. You're also 100% accurate that, yeah, there is the November deadline when the federal definition of hemp will effectively change. Many psychoactive products will be ruled out and no longer qualify as hemp. And that's right, there's efforts to extend that deadline. I think that's really the biggest push for the immediate moment, to try to buy people more time. From what I've read and from what I otherwise gather, it sounds like Mitch McConnell was a very big force behind that hemp ban. Someone who has a lot of political capital in the halls of the United States Senate, especially with Republicans from his, I think, about 20 years of leading that Republican caucus down there. Jeez. And so as you can imagine, like, you're there for 20 years, you've probably played Kingmaker a number of times, and you've probably got some favors that you have to cash in from people you've given committee chairs, leadership positions to, et cetera. And so he's been a social conservative, right, for a very, very, very long time. A dyed-in-the-wool social conservative who I believe really does not like psychoactive forms of cannabis. He did feel strongly about legalizing hemp, and I think he really loathed the idea that he did something that opened the floodgates for us to all consume cannabis more broadly, and did not want that to be part of his legacy. And I've heard, at least through the grapevine, he's sort of signaled out that, like, this isn't happening over my dead body while I'm still here.
Wow.
But once you leave, you've probably heard the phrase "lame duck," and so once you're kind of out of there, you lose your power pretty quickly. And so I think that's the hope, is there will be a way to extend these crippling consequences for many businesses until there's new faces in the halls of power in the United States Senate that might be a little more favorable to cannabis business.
My man, John Udell in here talking cannabis reschedule. I took you off the topic, though, with my question. Let me bring it back. Let me open it up to you. I appreciate you wanting to join today. What topics would you like to make sure that we discuss? Like, is there anything about this that I'm missing?
There is one other point that I'd like to make while we're on the subject of both political developments, more so in DC, and rescheduling here. And I think it's worth one thing I've been thinking about is I've been working on at the Capitol this year, in addition to my legal practice, on providing licenses for a lot of folks who cultivate the cannabis that we consume, make the products that we desire. Is what does this rescheduling order mean for brands, the brands that don't have a license and are operating under dispensary licenses right now? And so, point number one is, in order to qualify for a DEA registration, right, you need to have a state license. There is a DEA manufacturer registration available. It largely aligns with the producer category for the marijuana producer license in Senate Bill 1641 out here in Arizona. And without a license, you can't get a DEA registration. And so I think that tees up a secondary and very interesting question is that right now folks many in this space are operating under contracts with dispensaries that give them, fairly broad rights to make products and keep the net revenue through sales of those products under a dispensary license and using their license as the authorization structured as a subcontractor. So I wonder now if the person whose license you're operating under, think about a medical subcontractor, if they register with the DEA, you can't register with the DEA because you don't have a license. And so what happens then? Are DEA regulations going to be as accommodating to the subcontractor sub-licensing arrangement as the Arizona ones? Or are we going to accidentally box a whole bunch of people out of the market who now will lose their contract, not have a license of their own, and without that license can't get their own DEA manufacturer registration? And so my general sense is that DEA, and I'm working through this right now still, but the general sense is that DEA is going to be somewhat more strict than Arizona marijuana law and regulations are. How much stricter? I don't have a high confidence answer to share at this time, but this is an issue that folks should be thinking through. And it goes to, again, if you're a cannabis brand that's out there, you should be speaking with legal counsel right now and thinking through like, what might this mean for you? And so that's I think a very relevant point too to be thinking about, or all the small businesses that could be left out.
Because in a sense too, like we're looking at it like, yeah, they might not look at it as you having a license, but what if on the flip side they do and they give you that DEA license, right? At that point, would you have the ability to sell to, you know what I mean? You mentioned that they have different licenses that would be like, I believe you said manufacturing or whatnot, but is it one license, like a vertical license, or is there sections of the license that you can get?
Yeah, it's not a vertical license.
Okay.
There are 3 different tiers, actually, interestingly similar to the beverage system, talking about hemp earlier in the hemp beverages. And so manufacturer, distributor, and then there is the practitioner who can dispense. Now, if you are an Arizona licensed business, you have a license that you hold from the state of Arizona to do all of those different things. So you would be eligible to get each one of those DEA registrations and potentially become a vertically integrated DEA operator. But no, it's not a vertical stack like we have here in Arizona for our licenses. It's broken out like I think most other states have it structured.
Okay. Nice, because I was going to say then, like, they go and apply for that DEA license, and if they somehow magically get it, oh, shit, I can sell weed now. That'd be wild.
Yeah, I think similarly to that question, something else that's worth thinking about is interstate commerce. And so to answer, I guess, clearly to manufacturers and distributors, you can't sell to consumers. That's only the practitioner dispensary. But interstate commerce, I think this is another one of these really interesting questions that gets teed up right now, because DEA law does allow a DEA registered manufacturer, a facility in Washington, for example, to ship their products to DEA registered facility in Arizona, which means that there's no longer like a totally illegal interstate commerce market. There is something of a legal interstate commerce market now. So that raises this question, use legalese for a second, about the dormant commerce clause and how it will apply here, and if it will effectively demolish some of these restrictions that prohibit imports and exports out of state markets. And so in out here in Arizona, we're in the Ninth Circuit. There's a case in California determining if the dormant commerce clause applied to marijuana out there. And what the court said is no, it didn't, because there is no federally authorized interstate market that states can be interfering with when they protect themselves at the expense of others. But yes, I see your face. Now we have fundamentally changed this. There is a potential federally legal interstate market for cannabis. So there's at least some argument that those export restrictions, import restrictions might not be constitutional. They are good laws on the books today. They're not immediately canceled by the Controlled Substances Act, but they might be subject to a new legal challenge now under the Dormant Commerce Clause of the United States Constitution.
Wow. There's a lot to that. Because, I mean, look at, we see Canada right now being a major exporter of cannabis, crushing it. And there's been words that are saying like, look, you know, U.S. would like to be a part of that. We would like to be out there getting that money, spreading that weed around there, and we're being held back by outdated laws out there. When you talk about, you know, people and now looking back and saying unjust. Well, what about like criminality? What about people who've gotten arrested for this? Like, you know what I mean? Like at this point now, can you go back and say, well, look, it's deemed now a medical benefit. Like, you know, like there's now the classification that you charged me on with saying this is a dangerous, this, that, and the other is now no longer the case. This is now, shown to be medical benefits and backed. Is there anything that people can do with that?
Thanks for that question. That's another good one. Just to highlight here, there's I've got a lot of excitement about the good things that are in this rescheduling order, but it's still very worth discussing that this is not the end of the road. To be clear, this is not what we all ultimately want in the reform movement at the end of the day. What we ultimately want is descheduling altogether, not rescheduling, but descheduling. And on top of that, way for restorative justice, to do expungements of past offenses, to perhaps create a really productive and successful social equity program. So there's still a lot that this leaves undone, and that's, I think, probably top of my list, having done the expungement clinics I've done over the years.
Right.
Or that. And so the way it's structured right now is, like you said, there might be a legal pathway in the future for possession if dispensaries get registered as a practitioner, you buy from them legally. But the way it works right now is that, you know, when next time a patient in Arizona today goes and buys medical marijuana out here, I'm not aware right now of DEA registered Arizona dispensaries. So they'll still be breaking the law, and when they buy from that dispensary that's not registered, and still subject to, in theory at least, federal prosecution for that. And just like that's the case tomorrow, it's the case that all those prior purchases were still illegal. And so there might be this new pathway that lets you not break the law in the future, but we haven't retroactively done anything about the past. And as someone myself who's like, I've been arrested twice for marijuana, this is an issue that's near and dear to my heart. For a combined 1/20th of 1 gram, I would note, over
fucking dog. Come on, resin over here, hand pipes and shit.
First time 1/50th of 1 gram, 0.02.
Come on, man, ridiculous.
This is a really important issue and something that needs to be dealt with.
With someone like yourself that's so tied in and paying attention, is this Schedule 3 a stepping stone to descheduling, or is this like a long-term holding position, right? Because like when you look at what's going on, are they setting it up to like get to, you know, a deschedule, or is this more setting it up for, nope, we landed on where we're going to be for the next 55?
That's, again, $1 million question.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us have concerns, and it was, I'd say, an even greater concern before we saw this will create a legal pathway to legally purchase, but that you're going to give dispensaries, number one thing they want, tax relief. That's where a lot of the money is for reform right now. A lot of the philanthropists have kind of dropped out and chosen other subjects to focus on over the years. And now, like, that big item has been solved. And so there's a lot of concern from advocates that this is going to sap momentum for further reform that looks like descheduling. I guess the flip side is that we are, in some practical senses, a little bit closer to rescheduling through this than we thought, insofar as an actual legal pathway to purchase. And again, it would be very interesting if adult use rescheduling ends up looking like this, because then again, we can legally buy adult use marijuana under federal law, pursuant to the CSA, which is not ideal for a variety of different reasons, but there would be that pathway for lawful adult use purchase and possession, which would be better than I expected going into all of this, but still not as good as descheduling, I should say, altogether.
Is there anything out there that you think can happen that would likely trigger just a full-on just deschedule and legalization? Is there anything that like you think needs to happen for that to happen?
That's a great question. I would say maybe some new faces in Washington, D.C.
Okay, like you said, like
the first thing.
Yeah, but I started to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're good. That's maybe the first thing that comes to mind. I mean, there is some argument though that this is something that could create momentum towards it. Think about just in general, right? Like how medical marijuana, I think, in a very real way, paved the path to adult use legalization in Arizona. One could see a world where something similar happens in Washington, D.C. And as someone who spends like a fair amount of time at the Capitol too, talking with elected officials over the last number of years after adult use, but I got a taste, I think, of kind of how this slippery slope has kind of worked out to be fairly favorable to us, which is that once you create the legitimacy of a certain class of people who can legally possess marijuana under law, whether it be it state or federal, you have more and more people who are willing to consume it. And therefore, there's more and more people who know someone who consumes it, perhaps a medical patient who's benefited from it. I've had conversations with a number of conservatives over the years at the Capitol who have said, for example, my brother got into, I used to be very anti-marijuana and now I'm not one of those people. And the story is like my brother got into this car accident, he got prescribed to all of these opiates. And then he blew through his script so fast. He needed to get more opiates. I said, "Are you sure that you need more?" He said, "That or medical marijuana dispensary." And she said, "Get in the car. We're going to the dispensary." And then sees that like he gets off of the opiates. He's more productive than he was on the opiates. He's feeling better and handling his symptoms and feels good. Is doesn't have the addiction to deal with. Was able to stop and cut down when he wanted to. And so you have, I think, just it's easy for us to get caught up in our own little worlds where like we all know lots of people who are consumers. Almost all my best friends are consumers. But for like the so many people across America who don't know lots of don't have the same kind of friend groups that we have, that can I think be a big deal for them. Is like they're used to the dare ads and like the person melting on the couch, the deflated deflated person on the couch, or this is your brain on drugs in the egg. And then just to get to see someone, and again with legalization too, people are more open sharing these stories with looser friends about their marijuana consumption. You get to see folks who don't fit the mold of the stereotype, and they get exposed to, wow, this is a lot safer than opioids. It is crazy this is Schedule 1, and maybe it would be a good thing if this was more broadly available, whether for opiates or perhaps for alcohol. And I would just flag this for everyone too. One of the more interesting things on that point in the rescheduling order for me was there was this quote from there about comparing the effects of alcohol withdrawal with marijuana withdrawal, whatever, if that's a thing. But you had the federal government saying that marijuana withdrawal was not as bad as alcohol withdrawal, which is a lot like the federal government saying marijuana is safer than alcohol.
Let's go.
So, right, it's just mind-boggling on so many levels reading through this. But I think that's maybe one of the silver linings for reform, to sort of counter this concern about people with deep pockets maybe being a little bit less interested in lobbying DC, is that there might be more people who are willing to publicly speak with a broader group of friends and family members about their consumption, show those folks that marijuana is maybe not as scary as they once thought it was. And as I think those perceptions about the plant continue to change, like we've seen them all change ourselves in the last 15, 16 years out here, I think that also lays the groundwork for reform, whether it's through changing minds or if it's through getting new faces down at the Capitol in Washington, D.C.
Amazing, man. I appreciate your time. You got time for me to ask a few more questions?
I got time, maybe like 5 more minutes here.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it okay. Let me ask you this about banking then, because a lot of my assumption is that banking is still not going to touch this, but I looked into it, and now it seems that banking might get involved because of the less risk that is involved now with 280E, being able to write off your payroll, your marketing, your rent. That's huge. Have you heard about banking in this?
I've read up a little bit on the baking issue. I think that you're right, Jason. It's maybe not the same kind of protections as the Safe Banking Act would have provided, like that full, but certainly from the perspective of a financial institution who's trying to consider their risk, having that DEA registration, that's a big deal. Again, it's one of these many consequences of not needing to violate federal law anymore, and how that opens so many doors in so many ways, whether it's Whether it's landlord-tenant law, whether it's Second Amendment rights, whether it's something else I haven't mentioned, possession on public lands, like 38% of Arizona, BLM land and national forests, and you can bring stuff on there. So there's just this whole cascade of consequences that follow from the potential pathway for federal legality. And I think you're right. Banking is one of those. It's not the same as dealing with someone who's like, a business that's baking bread, for example, and not handling controlled substances.
Right.
A little more risk being involved in controlled substances, period. But now you're much more like a pharmaceutical company in the eyes of the federal government than you are a doctor or a pharmacy than you are like a person selling heroin on the street, which is, again, what we all were in the eyes of the federal government until a few days ago.
Okay, with that, because I feel like, will we see more private equity or institutional capital reshape ownership now that we see this? Will it continue to push out the small operators as we've seen? I know in Arizona it's something. Obviously, it could be state by state, but with this change, will you see more capital involved in cannabis? Do you think the price has gone up?
Another great question. I think you're probably right. That's something that we should be expecting to at least some degree as another wave of mergers and acquisitions. And whether it looks like, forcing out of small operators or just giving small operators, an offer they can't refuse, so to speak. I think there's a good chance we'll see that. I think we have seen that every step of the way, right? With legalization, what happened after Proposition 207 in Arizona? The risk profile of the business has changed, becomes more palatable to a broader group of investors, and we saw the wave of mergers and acquisitions then. I think this probably won't be so different. Again, some of that hinges too on what does adult use rescheduling look like. And how many folks actually do the DEA registration? How big of a difference will this make? And that's, again, I think we can't belabor that point enough, is like that big open question with all of this, because again, think about like the silo that could create with, like, you can't have heroin going into your pharmacy. You might not be able to have adult use going into your medical dispensary. Right now, there's a lot of back and forth between the programs. Something can start medical, go adult use, and vice versa. So that's one of the giant questions, but
wow.
The odds of a wave of M&A just, I think, went up though, to at least some degree.
Let me ask you this last question, I promise. Is there any sort of like grandfathered in situation for like let's say in Arizona, you have a medical and a recreational dispensary. Can the DEA come in and say, nah, you need to separate that? Or since I've been operating like this, we're good to go? Or is it just up in the air still?
That's the question. That's really the big question when it comes to the dual licensees. And I don't think anyone really knows at this point. And I don't even know, honestly, if the DEA knows. And there's some question about that too. I've had some people suggest to me, is this another, shoot from the hip and then ask questions later kind of thing, or how fully fleshed out and considered was it? Another thing I would note too on that point is about the certification cards. So under the final rule, dispensaries can dispense to patients who show a certification card that's compliant with state law, but also requires some DEA specific requirements, including, I think it was the name and license number of the person who authorizes your card, the practitioner authorizing the card. And as it stands in Arizona right now, I don't think our medical cards have that. I'm not even sure under Arizona medical marijuana law, which has significant confidentiality protections, if they can have that.
Right.
So there's, not exactly HIPAA. There's a separate provision of the Arizona Medical Marijuana Act that has its own confidentiality provision concerning medical marijuana. Okay. And it's been interpreted in a very, very broad way. Like the Department of Health Services will not even release a list of everyone who has a medical license, at least if you're medical only. And so, again, one of these just $1 million questions, like, was this thought through? Like, do they have a playbook right there over at DEA right now when people come to them with these issues of this is how we're going to respond to this? Or is it like, we're just opening the floodgates and we'll kind of take it as it comes, then figure things out on the fly? Because that's a great question. And again, I don't know, like, you can't, under Arizona law, you can't separate your adult use and medical facilities to different licenses. I think they're just bound together. And then under federal law, you can't dispense adult 1 while you also dispense Schedule 3. So
what are we gonna do here,
what
right?
do
Like
you
this is
do?
wild
Yeah.
shit, man.
It is.
Definitely.
It's crazy.
And I look at it too, like they have to be they're looking over the nation in a sense, right? So like they have to, in a sense, just put something that's going to be broad, and then everyone's gonna have to comply. And so, what an interesting time, man. John, I appreciate you popping in here. Anytime, please pop on here, and just anytime you find anything kind of like interesting or anything you want to discuss, man, you're welcome here. Doors always open, and thank you for taking time today to break down what you found out so far.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. Especially with you rocking the Philly shirt too. I was cheering
Let's
on the
go.
Flyers myself last night. So yeah, I'll be sure to be back on. If folks also want more information, we will be hosting our Arizona Normal chapter meeting over at Jared's in Mesa this coming Tuesday at 7. So if you got questions you want to ask in person, chat with some licensed attorneys who are up to speed on all the issues, feel free to stop by. We'd love to see all of you. And thanks again, Jason. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you and the team.
Absolutely, my man. That's John right there. We'll drop that information so you can find him. My dude out there. Hell yeah. So what do you think? Oh, that's got my mind racing. I'll be honest, man. That's pretty crazy. So shake and bake. I've got another 5 minutes or so before we get out of here. Wild. There's so many things that I wanted to like kind of like dive in with more, but obviously it was limited on time. But it's like, man, this is like the lottery for some of these license holders, right? Like, think about this. You have an automatic green light to a DEA license, right? If you're a struggling operator out there, this might be your ticket. There's been times where people have said they're waiting for the buyout. They're waiting for the big moments. I don't know. I will find out. We'll find out just how quickly these licenses are sold as the closer and closer we get to that 60-day deadline. How badly will people want in? How badly will they want the first DEA cannabis license? That's just history. I would just want to be involved with that, period, right? Like, let me get in this grouping that is going to have the first DEA cannabis license. That is a trip. We got to get Catalyst on here for sure and have him on here discussing it. He's very vocal. He's joined me before to have discussions about this. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to reach the fuck out, man. Blicky, sorry, what's wrong? You ain't light up a blunt and sip a big gulp. You know what? Shit, dog. This is a big deal, man. Like I said, I think this is the biggest cannabis news of my lifetime. It will be of my lifetime. I don't know if we'll ever see a deschedule in my lifetime. It took them 55 years to take off of a horrible scheduling of one, right? 55 years to take it off one. So, yeah, man, I'm tuned into this. This is a trip. And also, I do wonder, and I thought he was about to give us some juice. I didn't know his big news was going to be the 60 days that you have to apply. I was like, damn, we already have that one, but okay. Check. Oh, shit, though. I would be down to roll blunt and smoke one with you guys. Let me check to see if these guys aren't going live. Let's shout out to the team. Shout out to Proper Doink. Shout out to Adam, Paul, Squad. Let's make sure they're not fucking around on the internet. All right, they ain't. Should I roll a blunt? Smoke some of this Guz right now. I'll smoke a Guz blunt with you guys. Ooh! They're going live around 4:20. Thank you, Rice. Sorry, we got time for a blunt. What up, Trey? Mario said roll a blunt. Let's get it. What like were you guys on the show? Right? Tell me. If you haven't hit like, let me know what like you are now. Blunt time. Yes, it is blunt time. I'm going to kick it with you guys. Okay, look, I told you guys I was going to have the plants, right? I'm going to get them tonight. I'm going to fucking get them. I'm going to get them now. It's lined up. I've got shout out to my guys out in Tucson, Excel Gardens. You may have heard of them. When Proper Doinks was down here, they did a little interview, I believe, with them. So I'm going to swoop up WAP and something else. Damn, in the 60s? Hell no, it's in the 60s? Damn, that sounds wonderful. El Pharmacist rolling up some candy bones from Growing Pains. Nice. Let's see how she smokes. There we go. Ganja and guns always been illegal for me and will still be descheduled or not, so I don't care. Why? Oh, because you're out here hustling weight. Push it. Oh, did you guys see who we're about to have on the show? Did you see the lineup? Let's talk about it. Let's us talk about it. I always hate when it won't let me go to my page and shit, man. Let me check out my shit. Damn.
We go up, we don't stop. Hit the top, never drop.
We got guests.
On my team, we gon' shine, shine.
What?
Feel the vibe, vibe.
Oh, yep. Oh man, I was vibing.
We go up, we don't stop. Hit the top, never drop.
High Tech joining us on Monday.
We gon' shine, shine. Worldwide wave, feel the vibe, vibe.
But you see what we got over here coming up. Will you see what we got? Cali Plug joining the show on Tuesday. We got questions. Questions. Gold Rush Farms, the man slapped 10K on a table. Have you done that in your life? You know, that's some shit. On a bet, like you may have bought something for 10K, but on a bet, never in my life. So mad respect to everybody in the high rollers that threw down 10K. He's one of them, and he hasn't even had success on PSL, right? If I'm not mistaken, his first batch. KO. What up, Toto? How you doing out there? What you rolling, doggy? Have you submitted into the Rollers League yet? Man, make sure you get involved. So Gold Rush Farms, though, comes down, slaps 10K, says, let me go ahead and show you what is going down with me. And then on the motherfucking 7th, this needs music.
We don't stop.
One. Back, boys.
On my team, we gon' shine.
Thursday.
Worldwide wave, feel the vibe, vibe.
I told him, I said, look, I don't think that this show has credibility. If we don't get you on the motherfucking pod.
On my team, we gon' shine, shine. Worldwide wave.
Mad love right there, mad love. He said, all right. He said, I got you. Name the time and the place. I struck while the iron's hot. I said, this time? And he's down. He'll be here Thursday with us kicking it. So get your questions ready. This is a group effort, right? This is a group effort. I don't know if you had, did I miss anybody's question when we had John on? I try to pay attention to chat to pick, to get the questions. But then I saw you guys talking about something, and I gotta the way my mind works is I gotta fully listen in to what the guest is saying, or I'm gonna fuck myself. or I'm going to fuck myself because they're going to like say something to me that, you know, if the way my mind works, it doesn't like allow me to multitask like that. And studies show you can't actually do two things at once. All right. I had to look into it because I was feeling some type of way. Studies show. Okay. So I got to be tuned into what the guest is saying. So I try sometimes to peek over to you guys over here on some shit sometimes. I be laughing. I be like in my mind, I'm like laughing. I'm like, these guys are over here, they're over here talking about some shit right now. And then I'm in my mind thinking about that. I'm like, Jason, stop, fool. The guest. So if you ever see me kind of look at you guys, know that I'm fucked up. So we got to work out questions maybe prior. Email me your questions. No, I don't know. Do I open up? Maybe I just open up Discord for you guys. I've always wanted to do that too. Like, put some eggs in the chat if I should open up the Discord so you guys could just use your own voice. I'm going to say, Discord's open. And then you're able to pop on and talk to these goats. We got Spence Dog in the building. What's up? All right. All right. You don't have to be so technical with it, right? See, that's, you got to watch what you say, man. Got to watch what yours. I was talking with Exotic Matters about that. You're right. You could do two things at once, but all right, I'm going to look it up and I'm going to find it out after I roll this blunt while I smoke this. But it's been proven that your brain can only do one thing at a time. Like, I'm not saying like there's a certain word for it. Like, your brain can only like fucking read to one thing at a time. You know what I mean? How about that? How about that? Can we get a Discord for us left-handed rollers, aka Satan spawns? Is it like that? People judge you like you're a goofy-footed? That's crazy, bro. No, man. I need you guys all to get along. I need you guys to get along, man. There's no way I'm building separation between the rollers. Miss me with that one. SirHIGH episode. Marijuana. We're smoking a little weed right now. We're smoking a little weed. I didn't smoke a blunt. Blicky called it out. I wish I had a Slurpee. Oh, man. I've been working on my palate. Remember how we talked about my palate is meat and potatoes? Damn, I switched this fucking focus and it still don't want to work for me. It's probably that guzz. It's probably tripping on the guzz. Chill out, fool. Chill, fool. Paper? What? What is it? There's nothing in front of me. It is, there we go. All right, one more time. I'm playing this back because I love it.
We go up, we don't stop, yeah. Hit the top, never drop, yeah. On my team, we gon' shine, yeah. Shine, yeah. Worldwide wave, feel the vibe, yeah. Vibe.
I'm also talking to, I reached out to Sovereignty Glass, put a date out there. So that'd be tight. We'll see how that works out. Hopefully I didn't spook them with the addition that I wanted to do. I don't want to talk about it because I think I'm gonna go back and be like, you know what, man, just jump on, dog. We don't gotta do nothing extra. It's dope just to have him on. I'm just always trying to like go and like fucking like, you know, do as much as I can, right? I always try and do as much as I can with shit, dude. Sometimes it's just like, chill, fool. He said he'd join the show. Why you got to go do all this extra shit? You know what I mean? Always trying to do too much. Blicky, I'm always trying to do too much, dude. Mike in here about to roll some Donnie Burger from the Flower Shop. Shout out to Smackers. You can get Bubba right now. You can get some Bubba. We can't really talk about it on YouTube, though, like that, so I just got to leave it at that. We're going to leave it at that. The Guzz was cool. The nose on the Parrots was fire, and Jaguars was aight. But the best tasting one and smelling one for you was the Ease Up Lemon Up by Be Easy out of the jars I tried. All right, fuck yeah. Shout out to motherfucking SirHIGH. Ease Up and Lemon Up. Isn't that SirHIGH too? Maybe not though, huh? Because they've probably been labeled. Toto, my boy Philly rolls here in OK, just ran a marathon. Damn. I commend you. All right, let me roll this blunt up. Who's rolling a blunt with me? Am I the only blunt roller right now? Am I the only blunt smoker right now? That doesn't really feel like cheers.
Taking you in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away?
With some blunt smokers, where you at? I really am glad you showed up today. Yep. Marijuana. Oh man, I got business text going down right now. I got to roll this. And before I light this, I might have to respond to some business. It's funny too, because like for the longest time I've been doing podcasts and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like it's been like feeling some type of way because some people just look at it as me just smoking weed on the internet, right? But now, no, man, we rocking over here. I'm interviewing goats, motherfucker. Yeah, I'm still smoking weed on the internet, but we talking. Bro, oh yeah, another thing we tried. Let me know if you guys like this on anytime it's on the after shits. We'll put a little bit of background music. I'ma roll the blunt though. What are you guys smoking out there? I always like to think I'm talking to the entire nation. Would you do me a favor? Drop where you're watching for me. Also, if you're watching the replay, this isn't live right now, tell me what do you like about the show, right? Tell me what intrigues you. Let me know. You know, I'm trying. We're on episode 80, I think, right now. So this still in development. Nah, but sometimes though, I'll like do I really will just be smoking weed on the internet. Like I have this other page where I just join, like we'll be talking about fucking space and shit. Man, I need to get this cord fixed. I swear I can afford a new cord, I'm just being lazy. I swear I can get another one. This is about going and getting another one. God damn. What? Yeah, damn right. Man, I don't know what it's been lately, but I have been fucking up at the tail end of these blunts. My shit has been fucking weak, man. I need Smoke Dog back in this motherfucker. Shout out to my dude Smoke Dog. He'll be back. Corrupt in London right now. A bunch of people are out there in Japan. We saw Ted out there. I think Green Dog's out there right now. Shout out to everybody out there representing in motherfucking Japan. Bow, 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 bow. Oh, wait, no. All right, real quick, let me answer these text messages to make sure everything is kosher. Also, let me send a shout out to John real quick. My man, thank you so much for popping on. Absolutely crushed it. Anytime you want to pop on, just let me know. Real dope to have him on here, breaking it down. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, yeah, just realized you're probably on the podcast. We'll be working. All right, let me light this up. Sorry, I just needed to handle that real quick. Some stuff going down with the lounge. But what you smoking on? Let me cruise up to see South Shore, Mass. Fuck yeah, 207. You guys, I don't know your area codes, man. I don't know your area code. Unless you had Ludacris pull up. You know, didn't he shout out about, I still wouldn't even know. You gotta shout out the city. City of Trees? Emerald Triangle, North Carolina. 413 Western. All right, see, that's what, I thought that was your address at first. Like when I was like looking at right when I looked at my phone, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why is Fool giving me his address? Tampa, Florida. What's going down? Tucson in the building. You running right now. Where you running, dog? What you running from, homie? What you running from? You should have the chat as a mini guest anytime. I'll open up the Discord. You guys want to kick it? You got something on your mind? We kind of got to have like a Discord, kind of like some standards and shit. If I just open up the Discord and just have like open-ended, people just chopping up, I'll get kicked off this bitch real quick. Gotta have some standards, man. So what I would say is I'm open to Discord, and like you got your 4 minutes and 20 seconds, right? You got your 4 minutes and 20 seconds. It's not quite your 15, but it's something. So if you wanted to say something, you got 4 minutes, 20. Don't be fronting. Say something dope. Give us some education. Tell us what you growing. Tell us what you be slinging. I don't even know. Fuck it, I like the Joe. I'ma hit in the skit. I'ma get in the smoke. I love Neil though. He's so funny in person. So nice. Who's Neil? I hope to work with him one day. I studied under his thesis and peer to most recent theory of his last 10 polished papers. Oh. Neil's the shit. Tell me about Neil. I want to learn. Is he lit? I'm going to light this up. Anyways, my bad. Marijuana, what do we want to talk about here? I'm going to smoke this blunt with you. Not get canceled. Even glass rigs, pipes, bongs, etc. are a no-no. No shit, bro. I went out to Japan, and Japan has some of the best glass blowers in the fucking world. Let me pause this music and say that again. Japan has some of the best glass blowers in the world. Back to the music. So when I went out there, I was thinking to myself, oh shit, I'm about to smoke on some peace. Some Rose, baby. Let me get some of this. Nope. And I'm an outsider, and I'm obnoxious as fuck. So they were like, I'm like fucking like this. They were like, nah, fool. Get this guy away from me. He's too obnoxious. He's too obnoxious with it. Because I would smoke weed on there anywhere. You know what I mean? If I had the opportunity. So thankfully, I didn't find any weed. Right? Thankfully, I didn't find any weed. Because I probably would have got myself in trouble like the homie did 10 years later. Japan's got fire, bro. I'm gonna light this weed and get stoned. Oh, I forgot to play Cheers. Whatever. When do we want to write the remix? We got to write the remix to Cheers. How's that sound? Is the music too loud? Can you hear me okay? Ooh, I love good weed. I love good weed. God damn, dog. You did right on this one. Oh, you guys want it? Yeah, I really appreciate you guys liking the song. Like, that's our shit, huh? Come on, man, that's our song. My apologies.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? All those nights when you've got no lights, the check is in the mail, and your little angel hung the cat up by its tail, and your third fiance didn't show.
She wasn't yours.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody
Let's
knows
go.
your name.
Hey, shout out to Cloud Mav, Throbbing,
They're always glad you came.
Nutmeg in the building.
Where you can see our troubles are all the same.
What up, El Pharmacist?
You wanna be
Right?
where everybody knows
Pharmacist?
your name.
Pharmacist, motherfucker. Pharmacist. Let's kill it. Yo, this is really good weed, man. This is, if you have not tried the Guzz, certified for sure. Certified for sure. Damn. This hasn't won a chip, man. God damn. I love weed. Did you say I'm your favorite cartoon character? Oh, I love it. I'm with it. All right, we played some of these. Let's go this one. These are all beats I need to write to. These are all beats that I really like, that I'd like to write something to. Sometimes I have a little bit of it. That's why I'm excited to talk to Cali Plug on Tuesday. Because I feel like I was thinking about it earlier, and your first impression of Cali Plug almost, I feel, not to say gives a wrong impression, but doesn't give you the whole story. How about that? Right? So Joe, I came in hot because I didn't know, like, when I first started on PSN, you know, obviously I had heard about, you know, Cali Plug and For sure I was aware of like the goats, right? Cali Plug was kind of new to me. And I remember thinking to myself, this reminds me of like, kind of like, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, but it reminds me almost like Idiocracy in a sense, like where it's like we've gotten so now desensitized to cannabis being illegal in some spaces that it's now like that, like where you can be that character, you could proclaim to sell thousands of boxes, right? And it's like, damn, wow. Oh, it's Smokey Soldier. What up? Nice. Some Arizona love in here. Let's go. Yo, this shit's fucking... I love this marijuana. See, it was nice. That probably good I wasn't smoking weed. It took my distraction away. On jets across state lines. Now, okay, cool. I appreciate this conversation right now. I'm gonna tell you what's been in my head about this conversation with Cali Plug is like, I've always kept it code with what we discuss on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, but it's one of those things where you're discussing numbers and business. So like, it makes me want to just have a business conversation then, right? Like, I know that for me, and maybe you've picked this up, I'm intrigued by the development and the business and the watching this become a commodity, watching it get commercialized. How is it going to be implemented recreationally or yeah, like with just entertainment, all of these things. And then I like to, obviously when we have people on there that are phenomenally successful at it, I like to kind of, how successful? How much you selling? This beat. Let's go. I don't know, Mario. I think what I like is I like to just have perspective, right? Talking business with people out there doing business doesn't mean that you're in business. You feel me? But if I can understand the perspective, if I could have a convo and pick something up, what's up? What's up? What's up, Spence? Spence loves to talk numbers because Spence will highlight that there's stuff that is the most sought after, like the legacy and stuff like that we discuss. They ain't doing numbers. They ain't doing numbers. And that's where those conversations with Spencer intrigue me to ask what is potentially the number one trapper in the world, right? Nutmeg said, you asked Boston Clones about the fake zoo. I didn't, because I felt that we had already established that It wasn't the same cut. Yeah, see, look, that's what I'm saying. Nice, he just hit me up right now. Nice. He watched it up. He watched right now talking to Thomas over there at Boston Clone Co. Working it out. Because one of the things that it's dope that they're down to do this. You know what I mean? It's like one of the things that I want to make sure that it's people within the community that are wanting to grab this clone and getting the opportunity because they're going to grow it with us and stuff like that. Like, I almost shouldn't have talked about it. It's one of those double-edged swords where it's like, you want to talk about it because it's dope, but then I didn't realize it was going to be this dope where we're going to be able to do toe venom. I said, God damn, that's crazy. Now it's fucking crazy. And so that's just going to, generate kind of people who don't even fuck with the show. Just to be like, oh yeah, no, totally, dude. Your TMW's tight. So I wonder if we should just switch it up, So that way, it's more about the original goal. Because if we do it with toe venom, it might take it away from the whole point was just we were just gonna grow some shit together. You know what I mean? That's. So I hit him up. We're gonna find out because I don't mind at all switching it up. I think it'd be. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at too. Is maybe I just pick out, right? Who really wants to do it? So we're gonna talk about it. We'll see what's up because it would be tight if it was toe venom. It's gonna be tight regardless. It would be tightest. It would be the tightest. So do I say, look it, because originally I said 12. So maybe I just say, look, man, let's do 12. Church OD. Oh, Posh for the cause. What are you guys smoking? Damn, this weed's fire. Fire. It's funny because I do know some weed will get me like high where I'm like kind of stuck like on the show a little bit. I'm like, fuck. Oh yeah, I gotta do something right now. Damn, we didn't even talk about the PSL rankings on the show today. Not doing my job. I'm not doing my job. You guys can't really see that. Let's go. We'll just go to their page. This one will be all kicked back and shit. Yeah. Every single person's won a chip besides Wizard Trees. Damn. Ba, 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 ba. Damn. Oh, Faven made it up there. Because now they have two winning they have two batches in there. All you need is a minimum of 2. So who'd they knock off? Shankran. Oh, and Woodwide's on there now. Who'd Woodwide knock off? Tornado Terps. Damn. Well, how is Woodwide not on this one? That must have been like a mistake on the original. Huh. No, I know, but if you look at back here when they had the last one out in March, Woodwide's not on it, right? Am I tripping? Oh shit, Tenko got knocked off. Tenko got knocked off. I think Ball Family probably replaced him, right? Because Ball Family, yep. Damn. Woo! Get your wins up. Get your chips up. A PSL, motherfucker. Shout out to all the good asses. Oh shit. This thing is fucked up. Oh well, it's all good. Appreciate you, Joe Honcho. Talking to oh man, Thomas just came up with a crazy idea now. See, this is what I love about like just people in the that love cannabis, that do this shit off passion, that I don't know, like just making it fun. Making it fun. So he just tossed an idea out there. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna wait till we have something finalized. But what he just tossed out there, I was like, what? That shit's tight. Oh, we're cooking right now. We're cooking. My apologies. My apologies. Just cooking up with Thomas over there. Yeah, he seems like I talked to him when I was he was watching Boston. Unfortunately, didn't get that dub. Lou says, get it for your own tent. I want to grow with you guys though. I'm gonna make sure whatever we do it together. Whatever we do this together. All right. Ooh, see, and I love me some giraffe. Oh, wait, I'm giving out details, huh? Veg is a scam. Damn. Make both your tents flowering tents. I kind of thought about that, actually. I was kind of like, well, what is the point? I was thinking about that like a month or two ago. And I was just thinking about my tents. And I was like, oh, I got to get a habitual cycle. And I was like... Why not just change the fucking light cycle when it's time, not the tents, right? Fucking dude. You just literally have, I even have a controller that I can just go to program to, motherfuckers. So I'll probably do that. Long story short, you right. When you write, you write. When you write, write. One though, I feel like why one reason though is because the fucking flower tent has a better light. I forgot what the light company is, US made. And then the other tent is like Amazon did a deal and I love it and it's worked great. That's why I be out here saying go get your bundles. Because that motherfucker's growing some weed for me. But I guess we could find out. I said, fuck it. We can find out. Well, also another thing too, see, this might be another factor. The combo might be the play here, right? This is the problem why. Here we go. One tent is only 5 feet and the other tent is 6 feet. He said, don't burn the bean. Don't burn the bean. Homie, don't burn the bean. Look it. Don't burn that bean. You got to treat it now right. Talk to it sweet. Tuck it in at night. All of those things. You know they love those things when you sing. Say something sweet. Like how you be. Do you need some tea? Can I see all the things that you can be? Your family tree. 100. I love thee. So, what kind of like some family? I'll never blow that fucking bean. Let's go. Oh shit. There we go.
Most venues, so that means we have the same people coming in and
Oh,
out.
hold on.
Further helps control behavior because you get to know.
All right, back over here. That GDP isn't amazing. No, that's the problem. You put beats on. Nice. What do you got in the tents? What do you got in your tents? You got 3 of them. What are you doing? Man, you can't help it, man. When there's a beat on, rappers will rap. It's probably one of the most annoying things, actually, right? Ah! Props. I probably, yeah. Probably the worst comparison that I've ever had in my life, and I still think about it though, is like someone's like, "Oh, you sound like Will Smith." I said, "Damn." That shit made me want to stop rapping. That made me want to stop rapping. For real. And I had to act like it was a compliment. Oh man, thank you. That's tight. Here I thought I was like a West Coast artist putting out fucking heat. But Will Smith, right? I was like, you hate me. You hate me. Don't ever, please don't tell the people your boy raps like Will Smith. Matter of fact, that might be why my music never went anywhere, right? Because that vicious rumor got out there. Your pop's the G? All right, cool then. I'm with it. Oh, you guys want to connect? Oh shit, is today Thursday? Oh yeah, no shit. Damn, I was almost about to miss my fucking meeting at 1. I got time. We chilling. Oh, I mean, look. There's not a single song though. Like, I'm not saying Will Smith didn't do amazing things, and that is a compliment. And it should be looked as a compliment for many people. But I was just like, he doesn't even cuss. And I cuss. I was like, have you listened? Right? What song did you listen to? What track? All of these things going in my mind, right? Didn't ask. Thank you so. Oh, what? No shit. Will Smith getting jiggy. You know what I mean? Welcome to Miami. Party in the city where the heat is on. I'm not saying, man. I used to work in radio. I played the Will Smith. Yeah, that's just straight crazy, that whole situation, huh? I don't know what's going on. They got some kind of agreement. I at one point thought Will Smith killed Tupac. I'm not even stuttering a little bit there. But what I mean is, he had motive. And also, before it came out who killed him, I was like, whoever's involved has money to keep whoever killed Tupac silent. Will Smith. No, I had a whole theory. I was tripping. We've come to find out I was tripping. I can admit. But I was dead set. Yeah, we know. You know what I'm saying? There's facts behind it. MRR will talk to you about it. He might have said, oh, Jada loves you? But I want Jada to love me. I want Jada to love me. And I'm Will Smith. How'd that work out for you, Will? How did that work out for you, Will? Wow. Talk about fucking seeing the long play of a situation fold. Bro. All right, I'm gonna finish this. Smoke some weed with you guys. They say, Robin. They do. You can pretty much get that about anybody. Except for himself. I don't know. I couldn't relate. You know, I don't understand. I don't understand that life. What's it like to be there? You know? Fuck. Where I'm worried about, if we're talking about just random shit like that, is fucking what's going on with Jim Carrey. Right? Because, like, Jim Carrey's a motherfucking hero. And it worries me, you know, for Jim. What's up with Jim? Where is the real Jim, man? We don't know. We don't know. That's why it's scary. Ooh, I love this weed. Nutmeg, I was thinking the same thing, bro. Like, there's another actor that was like, who's the actress that was talking about Scientology? It's now coming. There's a lot of people saying now that they cloned her and shit. And when you look at what she came out with recently and like the one before that, I'm like, well, that does look like a different person. I mean, you can't. It's like, it's probably just because like she's aging. Like, yo. And imagine her being like, fuck. I was thinking about that shit. I was like, man, I can't take no hiatus off the internet. These motherfuckers gotta see me age. I gotta smoke weed every day on this bitch. There's my motivation. Look, now, when you're talking about Jim Carrey, yeah, I think when you say off, right, I think that he's just like fucking, I don't know. That's a deep conversation. But I know what you mean, like, with some of the things he was coming out and saying, man, that's aligning with what we are now finding out, though. And it's like, damn, what does he know? Right? Like, we are sheep. You know what I mean? Like, we get fed, like, what they want us to fucking know. If you got any type of fucking access, ooh. Well, tell me about the aliens, if you do. I won the Slurpee. I won the Slurpee. Blicky might hate me. He'll say my shit ain't so tasty. He won't disagree that I know good weed. Maybe he will, I don't know. I need a Slurpee for sure. Now this is some Will Smith rapping. I agree, this freestyling, this shit ain't not slapping, okay? I get it. But when I write, I'm committed. That is Will Smith now. When I think about that and I'm like, yeah, okay, all of that freestyling, yeah, I'm not good at that. I'm not good at freestyling. But I feel like my written shit is no way is that Will Smith. No way. I wanted to quit. Ours, I would be getting woody with it. Getting woody with it. Na, 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 na. I'm stoned. About that time for me. Get out there in the world. Live this cannabis dream. I'm gonna go to a cannabis consumption lounge right now, chop it up, figure out what we need to do to make it the dopest. And then I'm gonna smoke weed. Someone's gotta do it. Someone's got to do it. Oh! I need to get out there on the hunt. Actually, I need to find a hunt for a smacker. But I have the fucking Blue Mamba coming out, so I'm kind of just chilling on that. I'm like, yo, that Blue Mamba's that shit. Blue Mamba, blue Mamba. Send me that list. Dog, I know. I am. I think it's only going to be like 3 people. Let's just get those 3 people in there. And then let's, next time we do something, let's do it in a way that is more organized. I'm fucking lobbying that shit back to you this time. Because you guys have come to me and been like, bro, these motherfuckers is not doing it. Boop, boop, boop. I'm lobbying that energy back. The name of the show made more sense after you came out with the fact that you performed under the name Jay Hornet. Really? Oh, okay. Because of the sexual implication? Yeah. Man, my older music, I'm very happy to be putting out new music. I might take the old music off. Just listen to the new shit. Just listen to the new shit. Shout out to Odd Squad family. But I feel like that was that era. All right, that was that era. Okay, I thought it was improper. It was an improper Dave show when the idea was leaked. Oh, nice. Nice. Appreciate that energy, man. It's been dope to have the community support too. Really, I always kind of felt like I was unsure of, you know, how much the show was accepted within their community. And the High Rollers event, there's a lot of people that didn't need to come up to me and say anything, but they made it a point to come up to me and tell me how much they thought the show added to the network. So yeah, I kind of made me feel like, all right, cool. Like, I guess, yeah, I am accepted. No, you know what, Mav? I asked Dave, because Dave goes on his IG more than he does on PSN. And I said, bro, what's that about? I said, because I would watch. He is the blunt smoker, right? Like, come on. Rice, yeah, I appreciate that too. And I should have set up a little area where I could chill when I wasn't hosting the event. Because I did feel like kind of like awkward with those spots when I wasn't hosting. I was kind of just like in no man's land and just floating around. I didn't really have a base. I was like, fuck. Thank you, 401. I appreciate that. And it's funny you say that, because I do feel like for when it comes to cannabis entertainment, like I've done, before this, I did this high in Arizona, and I still do it, but I did 600 episodes, and I'd be smoking weed on the internet. I'd be talking about this. I'd be blah, blah, blah. Like, I love this shit, right? And so now being able to collaborate with Adam, Paul, with Lance, is giving me an opportunity to be around motherfuckers that are also as like motivated and have a squad. I'm like, whoa, tight, let's go, motherfuckers. So it's tight. I feel like I found my people, you know what I mean, when it comes to this type of movement. He's gonna let her hit a brother's broadleaf right in front of everybody. What are we talking about? Oh shit, 2D, damn. Thank you, my dude. Yo, check this out. Okay, check this out. So obviously I watch, we see the clips of all the streamers. And one of the things they do, which I'm like, yo, I could do this too, is because I have one of those streaming backpacks. So I can go anywhere in North America, right? Canada, even Mexico, and I can stream live where I'm at. And so they'll follow people around, or they'll so I reached out to, and I'm gonna leak this because, it's just a conversation, and if it doesn't materialize, then it is what it is. No big deal. It's not like there's anything that, no harm, no foul here. But I was thinking to myself, well, why don't I follow someone around for a day in the cannabis industry and like kick it with them? And like, like maybe on a day that they've got something going on, I can go and spend time with them. Like, whatever they're doing, right? You see them go out there and they just follow and they talk and they do it. So I reached out to someone in the PSN, like in the community of PSN, right? Like, and I've got the first person I reached out to said, let's run it. So give me some, before I tell you who that is, and I'll tell you, let me hear who you think would be dope for me to go kick it with for a day and follow around and like go do like a day in the life of someone in our industry. Let me hear. Be Easy. I see that right now from Rice. Who else though? Mav says, hit me up if you need an editor. You know where I'm going to start offering, I think, is money for clips. And I talked to, back in the day, my buddy, we were trying to figure out how we can do it. I think I just got to offer money and be like, yo, like per views, you know what I mean? Like obviously like the top streamers say they pay like $300 per $1 million or million viewed clip. $300 for a clip that gets 1 million views, right? So it's like, I've never had a clip to get 1 million views. So I don't think that, stop, Mav. If you're a clipper, like what because I've been trying to figure it out, and I love your insight. How can I make it, worthy? Like, you know what I mean? How can I, because I would love someone to come in and understand the show, understand like what is being discussed, and like how it is, shocking in a sense, because like I can find like homies and stuff like that, and shout out to the homies that have helped me, but like they've got to be into the show, I feel like. Otherwise it's me trying to navigate what they need to clip, and like that just creates a job, and it's like, fuck, I would like to have somebody that's down, that knows how to clip, right? What? Okay, tight. I don't even know a CV. I'm imagining that's kind of like your clip rates. You got a fucking clip rates and shit. Hold on, pause that real quick. Let's go ahead and show love over here. Motherfucking Mal got clip rate. He said, I'm been clipping. Okay. Oh man, Mav, no shit. Honestly, I couldn't imagine of a better scenario than having someone else. Wait, no, how does that work out? I'm just trying to say, let's run it, right? You are in the show, you kick it, and you do this? Oh, you got me fucked up. Let's go. Stole my whole flow. What do you mean? Well, you're a clipper too, Rice? Are you implying that you clip also? Oh, nice. No, that's beautiful. Because hopefully Adam's in discussion about including goddamn motherfucking TMW. If not, we right in here. Rice, though, are we saying? Are you a clipper? Oh, well, let's clip. Don't trip, just clip. That's the slogan. I'm right at this point, right? Come on, don't trip, just clip. I know, but look, there's a lot of things that are going on. And also it's one of those things where it's like, yo, just like, let's run it. Just do it. Just run it. We need the action, right? And I'm really trying to find someone that is self-motivated, that will run it up. What do you need from me? Like, talk to me. Yeah, because we've been a squad. Right? We don't need to like, not be able to squad up. Teamwork make the dream work. Man, what an episode. Damn. Oh, I got that. Damn. We might have to create a page though. So what I'm thinking, 1 million views is a high ass bar for that camp. No. That's my point. Was like, I've never seen $1 million fucking clip, a million view clip off marijuana, because like it'll get flagged. So where I feel we're at is like 10, but like I feel like when you really got a good clip, we should see 50, 100. I feel like right now, my clips get right now 6 to 10. So I feel like someone that really knows how to like clip game, who understands the algorithms and all that shit. What? If I saw 250, I would be tripping. Wow. If I saw 250 on the clip, I'm acting different. Especially now that they changed the count. Did you I'm sure you know about all that, right? They changed the count up and shit like that. So, it's like, it's more authentic, which I love. I love that. So if I get 250 and it's all authentic, that's where I'm at. Let's go. What? Depends on what the clip is, bro. Shit. Clip might be me being a fucking fool. Who knows, right? Who knows? That's all. That's been the interesting thing whenever I've had people help me clip. And it's not off my guideline. I'm just like, clip whatever you find interesting. My homie Mason was clipping high in Arizona for a little bit. And he would throw in a clip of me and my dude Dan talking about eating hot dogs. And that clip would pop. I'd be like, damn, I would have never posted that. I'd have never posted talking about a hot dog. And sure enough, that shit went crazy. I mean, crazy for like what my numbers were. All right, well, marijuana, I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta dip, get to the lounge. Always fun kicking it with you guys. Thank you for chilling with me while I smoke the blunt. Guz is the truth. Slurpees are the truth. Don't let people knock them. They're amazing. Marijuana, guys. Enjoy your day today. I'll be back tomorrow. Let's get it. Woo! Marijuana, bless everybody over here right now with the best weed you possibly can. If they, for some reason, bought some mids, make it, like, turn some mids into gas, right? Wasn't there this thing, like, you used to turn water into wine, right? What about, like, mids into fucking just some space weed, right? Think about it. Just mull it over. Marijuana.
What the fuck? Thank you! That's science.